I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened by the way Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League, now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
I understand in a situation like that, when it comes to the 3s and 4s that you're playing with that aren't going to be on the squad and not going to make the team, give your quarterback a chance. Okay, you know what? You know they can't hold up that long? Let's play quick game. Let's play quick game just to get Shedeur in the goddamn rhythm. But no, you come out, calling regular offensive plays.
When they're at practice, Shedeur Sanders is not their priority. When he is at practice, he was staying hours beforehand, leaving hours later.
Last night, Shedeur Sanders was put into the game to fail. It wasn't by chance. Everything pointed to this being a calculated move. From the moment he stepped onto the field, it was clear. It was him against the whole system. The Browns and their coaching staff thought they could shut down his hype and put his rise to rest. But what they didn't anticipate was that this very effort would backfire. Now, analysts and journalists are gathering around to expose Stefanski and the Browns administration for their role in setting up Shedeur for failure in the preseason.
I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders, and I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail.
First up was Stephen A. Smith, who had already foreseen this entire preseason setup from the very beginning. He predicted that from the first game to the last, everything would be designed to set Shedeur Sanders up for failure. He went as far as to say that Shedeur starting the opening game of the preseason was, in his words, a setup for Shedeur's failure. Smith was confident that the goal was to make Shedeur fail, reinforcing the narrative that he was just a fifth-round QB, proving those who doubted him were right all along. That may have been the case before the preseason, and some people might say it was all set up from the start. But let me tell you, it didn't end there. Now, once again, people are holding Stefanski accountable for what he did to Shedeur, putting him into a system he'd never played in, all because they wanted to see him fail. Garrett Bush spoke out, emphasizing that no matter how much effort Shedeur put in, both before and after the session, he was never truly a priority in their plans.
When they're at practice, Shedeur Sanders is not their priority. When he is at practice, he was staying hours beforehand, leaving hours later.
Stefanski, however, was firm in his stance, insisting that his players were performing well and placing the blame solely on Shedeur for his struggles. When asked about the fact that Shedeur had been practicing with the third and fourth team players throughout the week and whether that played a role in his missteps, Stefanski stood his ground. Instead of recognizing that Shedeur might have been better prepared if he'd had reps with the first-team players, Stefanski dismissed the suggestion. He simply claimed that, as a coach, his goal was to develop rookies. But is this really the way a coach should handle a promising prospect? Denying him any chances with the first-team reps, then throwing him into a situation where he's expected to execute a play he's never had the chance to practice?
I think with all of our players, Mary Kay, there's things that we can do better, and there's some good moments out there, but that's what our job as coaches, to develop our guys.
Skip Bayless also spoke out about the situation, slamming the Browns for their treatment of Shedeur Sanders, calling it the worst possible approach. He noted that this seemed to be part of a troubling pattern, with Shedeur being consistently mishandled by Stefanski and the Browns. According to Skip, this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was clear that Shedeur wasn't being given the chances or the support he needed. The way the Browns have treated him has only added to the pressure, making it even more difficult for him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened by the way Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League, now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Ocho Cinco also chimed in, arguing that by placing Shedeur in a lineup with offensive players who weren't even going to make the roster, Stefanski effectively set him up to fail. Ocho made a strong point, saying that even if someone like Tom Brady had been in that same situation, the outcome would have been the same. With those players surrounding him, Shedeur was always going to struggle. Analysts agree, placing the blame directly on the coaching staff for not providing him with a fair opportunity to succeed. Ocho Cinco also predicted that the haters would soon start to label Shedeur Sanders as a failure, dismissing him as nothing more than a fifth-string quarterback. However, Ocho pointed out that no one would address the real issue, who was responsible for setting Shedeur up in the first place. Despite the mounting criticism, Ocho made it clear that this is all part of the effort to bring him down. Regardless of what happens, it's obvious that some people are more focused on tearing him down than acknowledging the true factors behind his performance.
You just beat the guy. And that's okay. You get paid, he gets paid. Sometimes Ocho just gonna win because Ocho was just the better player. Sometimes the defensive back is gonna win. He wins some, you win more than you lose.
Despite everything that happened, Shedeur Sanders never said a word of criticism toward his coach or anyone else. Instead, he took full responsibility for his performance and concentrated on what he could control. Shedeur admitted that there were many areas where he needed to improve and emphasized his commitment to putting in the effort to get better. His focus was on growth, learning from the experience, and refusing to let the setback define him. Like a seasoned pro, Shedeur Sanders fully owned up to his mistakes, recognizing that he could have kept his eyes in better positions during those runs and made smarter choices to keep the offense moving. He didn't dodge the blame, taking responsibility for every sack, acknowledging that they were all on him. His response was mature and self-aware, demonstrating his understanding of the game and his readiness to learn from the experience.
No, I gotta watch the film, honestly. I can't say what it was. It's definitely different places where I could got my eyes in better spots and got to the progressions quicker and regardless of anything, so all those sacks, they definitely on me.
But how long can Shedeur continue taking all the blame on himself? How long will he have to wait for these biased stakeholders to step up for him, or at least give him a fair opportunity? It's becoming evident that many in the NFL view this as part of a calculated setup. Shedeur managed to survive the first round, but he's still caught in the web. The question remains, when will the system stop treating him unfairly and start giving? In the end, the treatment Shedeur Sanders has received raises serious questions about fairness, opportunity, and bias within the NFL. Despite the overwhelming challenges placed in his path, Shedeur has handled the situation with remarkable maturity and focus. He took full responsibility for his performance, acknowledging where he could improve and remained determined to grow from the experience. However, the bigger issue lies not in his individual performance, but in the system that continues to hold him back. Shedeur's struggles highlight a troubling pattern of undermining young athletes, particularly those who don't fit a certain mold or narrative. The way he's been mishandled by the Browns, placed in situations where failures seemed inevitable, points to deeper, systemic issues in the sport. His story isn't just about one quarterback's journey. It's about the countless athletes who face similar obstacles, often due to factors beyond their control. As analysts and commentators continue to call out the unfair treatment, it's clear that the conversation around Shedeur Sanders isn't just about football. It's about breaking down the barriers of bias and giving all players the fair shot they deserve. Shedeur's resilience is admirable, but the real question remains: when will the system change? And when will athletes like him finally be given the chance to thrive? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Do you think Shedeur Sanders is being treated fairly, or is there a deeper issue at play? How long should athletes like him be expected to take responsibility for circumstances beyond their control? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. We want to know what you think. Let's get the conversation going.